Everyone say hello to Blue. He is my 2-year-old puppy who has a lot of love but isn't always the best behaved. Lucky for us, and thanks to psychology, we can shape the behavior in people and animals. In order to do so, we need to use operant conditioning, a type of learning in which behavior is strengthened if followed by a reinforcer or diminished if followed by a punisher. In other words, operant conditioning is a fantastic way to promote good behavior and squash bad behavior. But how does it work? Actually, it's as simple as ABC, an acronym that acts as a way to broadly label all parts that make up what operant conditioning is. A stands for antecedent. This is the stimulus that happens before the event and serves as a cue to perform the behavior. This could be anything from the ringing of a bell to, in our case, a command to sit. Well, we have some work to do. B stands for the behavior itself. This is what happens after the cue and, in our case, would be Blue sitting down. C stands for consequence. This happens after the behavior is or is not performed. The consequence can be either good or bad, but hold on to that idea for just a second. Again, in this case, the consequence will be a dog treat if Blue sits. So, consequences. They can be rewarding or punishing, and these consequences are actually called contingencies, and there are 4 of them that make up the core of what operant conditioning is about. The first contingency is positive reinforcement. This one is pretty self-explanatory. If the subject displays behavior that we like, positive reinforcement means rewarding that behavior, which encourages the subject to repeat the good behavior in the future. To positively reinforce Blue, I would give him a dog treat if he sat after I commanded him to sit. Then there is negative reinforcement. It's important to understand that negative reinforcement is not the same as punishment, but more on that in a bit. Like its positive counterpart, negative reinforcement also rewards the subject who displays good behavior. The difference is that instead of giving the subject something that it likes, we are removing something that the subject doesn't like. To negatively reinforce Blue, we could play an annoying noise until he sits down at my command, to which I would promptly end the annoying noise once he sat. Then we have punishment, which is less about strengthening the frequency of good behaviors and more about diminishing the frequency of bad behaviors. If Blue did not sit after my command, I could punish him by flicking him in the nose.
Disclaimer, no dogs were actually flicked in the making of this video.
Lastly, there is negative punishment. In order to negatively punish a subject, instead of introducing something they don't like, we remove something they like very much. For instance, if Blue didn't listen to me when I said sit, I might take away its favorite toy until he sat at my command. It is important to note that when it comes to teaching an animal or a person a new skill, reinforcement is much more effective than punishment. When it comes to teaching a dog new tricks, I believe using positive reinforcement is the most effective contingency that operant conditioning offers. Also understand that conditioning doesn't always happen after one trial. You usually need to repeat the trial multiple times in different settings in order for the behavior to stick. With that in mind, let's see what happens. Come here. Okay. Sit. Good boy, Blue.